Um, well, if we go deep, a couple of months before I was born, Adam, my biological father, we don't really know what happened. We know that he hurt his head. We know that in 1953, they put a plate in his head to save his life, but it also took his life. 2 months before I'm born, he turned to mom and he had complained about pain all the time. And so he turned to mom and said, I'm going to the grocery store. And we never saw or heard from him again. And so when I was born to a single mom. And she already had two boys. We were living in a one-bedroom apartment, and my grandmother, her mother, and another cousin were all living in this one-bedroom apartment. And so when I was 5 years old, mom couldn't feed us. And so she went to her oldest sister, Pat, and she said, would you adopt David? And Bob and Pat Albin agreed to do that. Now, mom, she knew hard work. She was working up the street at the Roosevelt Hotel doing double shifts. She came from that era, the greatest group of people that's ever walked this planet, that whole generation, right? That's the ones that went through the Great Depression. They went through World War II. They did, it's funny, they talk about what women can do and what they can't do. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Give me a break. Talk to my mom. They did everything. While the men were off fighting the war in Europe and in the Pacific, both going on at the same time, what do you think women were doing? Everything.
They were working in the factories making the shit that we needed to carry on the war. My grandmother, the most important woman ever in my life, was born in 1919. My grandfather served in World War II, and all the stories growing up I heard from her. She worked in a shoe factory. She worked in an airplane factory. She worked in an ammo factory. She did it all and held it all together, and she did it all without a driver's license. Oh boy. How was that experience? Not good. And how old were you? Oof. So you've known for a long time you wanted to be an entrepreneur. Did you sell them back to him? Yeah, 100% entrepreneur right there. That's awesome. Oh, that's interesting. Nice. The price is the price, buddy. What year was it? Oh man. That was a pretty sweet car. I'm all about the classic American muscle. I mean, my dad is responsible for that, and to this day, the older 50s and 60s trucks are my thing. That's because that's what you needed in your life. From The Simpsons. Yeah. And that changed your life. Yeah. Well, and I think that speaks to the importance of having someone who genuinely cares to support you, no matter he's walked a mile in your shoes, right? So he understands where you're actually at, right? Probably going through withdrawals, completely miserable. I'm also an alcoholic. I had 7 and 7 was my thing, right? Up to 2 gallons a week at its height, and not including what I was drinking at the bar and just the self-destructive behavior. And I didn't have anybody to support me. However, I also didn't seek treatment from AA. I was, that asshole who was like, well, I'm going to do this on my own. So I did. And not everybody can do that, right? But I want to back up for a minute, Dave, because you served during a time where I think a lot was probably, well, Vietnam, right? So did you actually go to Vietnam? Okay, so you didn't get drafted. So did you join voluntarily? Okay. Yeah, because your generation is one that I personally look up to a ton. Just knowing what I know about war and my experiences and what was faced in Vietnam in the jungles and whatnot, and so much so I actually bought a Vietnam veteran breakfast yesterday morning. He was sitting alone by himself at the IHOP. Kind of looked pretty sad, like maybe he had lost his wife recently or something like that. And so how yeah, that also has, a big impact. And so I was just curious, did your time in the army and kind of the societal air that was going on, veterans were coming home from Vietnam being called baby killers and being spit on by their own population, right? And that is not what I experienced coming home from Iraq three times and Afghanistan once. It was very, very much the opposite. People lined up in the airports to clap for you and shake your hand and thank you. And I was curious if any of that kind of influenced and exacerbated your addiction problems. Yeah. So you were just kind of screwed from the beginning, right? Is that really the reason? I have no idea. You're in heaven. Yeah. Well, and we're not talking about computers, we're talking about typewriters back then, right? Yeah, yeah, it's a little bit different typing on a my wife she's super nostalgic like that. She always says she should have been born in the '50s, and so one year for her birthday, I went to an antique shop and I got her, like, a 1940s really cool typewriter. The thing weighs a ton, but I try typing on it, I get so frustrated because it is not at all like using a keyboard now. Yeah, there's no delete button. That's awesome, brother. So that's exactly what happened, huh? So I'm curious. A big part of what we talk about on here, particularly for my generation of veterans, is the loss of purpose during transition. And so, for you, you didn't spend a whole lot of time in the service, right? But did you have those issues also? We talked before we started recording, and you said you very much agree with my message and the purpose. The path back to purpose being through entrepreneurship. So I assume that you did have some struggles finding purpose after the military. Can you talk about that? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Networking. And real freedom. So let's fast forward. So you get sober on June 8th, 1988, and in about what are you doing for the 7 years before you go to Tony Robbins's first seminar? What? In 1995, that's a lot of money. Yeah, you're putting two and two together. Right. Yeah. That's awesome, man. So let's talk about the firewalking and what do you think that unlocked for you? Is it just showing yourself that you're capable of something that you think is impossible? and that unlocks so much more for you. Like, what encouraged you to really pursue, you were very against doing the firewalk, and then you walk, and then you're in this room with 3,500 other people for day two, and this aura, this energy has changed, right? Like, people have overcome a fear, they have shown themselves that they're capable of something. Is that just something you just felt compelled to be a part of, or like what was that for you? Fuck everything and run. Yeah. It's an amazing thing, isn't it? Yeah, intentions are everything, right? And so I'm curious, you spent 19 years around Tony and doing this, achieving Firewalk Captain, walking 500,000 people, being responsible, seeing all of that. Obviously that had a big impact on you to go out on your own and found Firewalk Productions. And so I'm curious, A, did Tony give you his blessing to go and create a company doing this? And what was that conversation like between you and Tony? Yeah, and I'm super grateful to have you here, brother. You don't, and that's a testament to it, right? So you're working for Tony Robbins, who is, I mean, he's larger than life, right? Like I remember seeing him when I was a kid in the early '90s. When you're getting picked up to do this with him, and he's still prolific today. I mean, look at any social media platform, you can find 100 reels of his motivational speaking and just clips of him, lifting people up. I didn't know until booking you to come on this show that he did the Firewalk thing. I've just never kind of been one to pursue those type of events or whatever until last year when I kind of I had an experience similar. I went and did some plant medicine and was terrified and kind of in the same frame of mind you were when you're waiting to walk through the fire, like I don't know if this is like really for me, this is kind of out there, this is woo woo, what the fuck is all this kind of thing. But brother, it changed my life and set me on. Yes sir. Yes sir. Yep, 3 night ceremony in Peru. And it's changed my life. It's changed my life completely. It's set me on the trajectory that I am. Because of that experience, I now have the strategic veteran. I'm doing the work that I'm doing. I'm sitting in front of you talking to someone who has worked with somebody I've looked up to my whole life, essentially, and it's really cool. And so can you talk about some of the initial challenges that you faced when you did stand up Firewalk Productions, if any? Because it sounds like you really were pretty established in the industry. People were reaching out to you. You had really good word of mouth, which is not always, I mean, it's usually that's an outlier, right? Like a lot of people don't get that kind of support in the beginning, but I assume there were still challenges, right? Yeah. And those are the challenges that I myself, the imposter syndrome, the thinking you're not good enough, the for me it was very much the trauma of my formative years growing up, and all those people who were supposed to be role models or who I had looked up to not doing the right thing by me, and really kind of you know setting that narrative in my head that I'm not good enough, that I'm not capable, that I'm not smart, all that bullshit, right? All that bullshit that I told myself for 30 fucking 6 years or whatever. And that's exactly it, brother. That's just it. Like that narrative in your head that's been plaguing you those. Absolutely. You're the third person in a week that's recommended that book to me, so I think the universe is definitely leaving me some clues, and I probably need to read that one. I love that, man. How do you believe firewalking serves as a tool for personal transformation and that development? And what do you think that unlocks for people when they stand in front of those 1,000-degree coals to take that 15-foot walk? And that's how I felt with ayahuasca, right? It's just you and the medicine. That's it. I think there's something to that. I think, no matter what it is, facing something terrifying like that really and it forces you, you can't run away anymore, right? You have to do this at this point, right? Especially like in your situation, you're in front of 3,500 other people. There's an element of I don't want to be the one who can't do this, right? You don't want to be singled out. Of course not. That's exactly right. That's where I was kind of trying to get to is doing hard shit really shows you what you're capable of. And I think that's kind of the message here is you're capable of so much more than you've ever given yourself credit for. You just need an event to unlock that for you. I like that a lot. Yeah, just do it. Okay, that's fair. That's not the first thing I do anymore. I get up and relieve myself, as we all do. I put my shoes and socks on, and I'm out the door for a 4 mile walk with the dogs. That's my morning routine every morning. As soon as I get back, it's make the bed, make the coffee, and then sit down to do some work. But he's awesome. I'm on his train also. Yeah, I've since my plant medicine journey, I'm down 95 pounds yesterday in 11 months. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah, man. Paying attention, fasting, fasted cardio every morning. I do drink tons and tons. Water's pretty much, other than my cup of coffee, that's all I drink really, for the most part. And so, yeah, and this is everyone that I talk to on this show that has figured out that way out of the transition hole and that path back to purpose and ends up on the entrepreneurship journey seems to have some kind of holistic routine like this, right? Where you're building a routine that's structured in making your bed, doing some kind of exercise, paying attention to what you're putting into your body, mindfulness, right? Being mindful of how you talk to yourself and treat yourself. And it's a reoccurring theme with every show that we do here. And you're no different. You're saying the exact same things that everybody else is saying, and everybody's routines are going to look different, but they all have these core things in common. That's our show, and I'm truly thankful you've joined us at The Strategic Veteran. If our conversation today sparked curiosity or if you're ready to elevate your game, I'm here to help. Visit thestrategicveteran.com for exclusive show notes and resources or to book a coaching session directly with me. Take a moment to subscribe to our podcast and share your review. Your support makes all the difference. For more insights and daily strategies, let's connect on LinkedIn and keep the conversation going. Remember, this isn't just a podcast, it's your strategic advantage in action. Until our next rendezvous, stay bold and continue the mission.